Hey y'all, what's going on, fam? It's Fam Matters. Dr. Brown.
Dr. Young, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you? This is the only podcast where you have those who are qualified. Yes, we are absolutely qualified, but our opinions, not so much.
Unqualified. We're not qualified to talk about any of the things that we're talking about here. This is basically like if you caught us going out to eat and someone just hit record.
Yeah, definitely. Let me think about it. Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But y'all have shown us so much love, and we
Yeah,
appreciate it.
y'all like this foolishness, so here we are.
That's what, and it really that's what Fam Matters is all about. Fam, F.A.M, faith and mess. We really, I can't even talk now. I'm so messed up on
Messy.
this
Yeah.
topic today. But we believe we got faith, and we
Ooh,
also
y'all, do
know
we have
that
a
mess is
messy?
in the world. Yes, I know.
We
So
have a
hit us
messy,
up,
messy
fammatterspot at
topic for today.
gmail.com. Hit us up. Let me know. Hey, Emmett, get yourself together. Just get it together, or you can send us a topic. We want to just kind of put it out there that we are looking for topics. We would love to entertain some of the stuff that you all are sending us, talk about it, all that good stuff, especially like gospel news, gospel mess, all of that stuff. But just, generally anything that's messy, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, we live for all manner of mess. Truly,
All
we
manner of
do.
mess. Don't forget to hit our channel on YouTube. It is, what is that channel again? Just hit them
Fan
up with it.
Matters Pod at I was about to say at, but that's not how YouTube works.
It's
Clearly, we're
not.
professionals.
And you called me old.
Ah! Wait, can I tell y'all something about Dr. Young, about his progression? So, the first
Don't do it.
podcast episode that we posted, he didn't know how to tag me in it on Facebook. And the second podcast episode, he tagged me. So, somebody touch your neighbor and say, "Thank God for growth."
Not
Hey, glory.
not touch your neighbor
That's
though.
all.
Can we just just can we please just okay, touch your neighbor, but just do it safely, with your mask on, and
I didn't say kiss your neighbor.
well, I just need the people to know that we're
Oh,
safe in
monkeypox
these times,
though.
in these
Maybe
pandemic times.
air five your neighbor.
Air five, hype, hype, hype,
Boop.
hype, hype, boop, 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 boop. There you go.
It's monkeypox. I forgot about that. What do
All
you think
right,
will be
so
next?
what?
Maybe we should save that for another day.
Which one?
I was just saying monkeypox, COVID. What will be next?
Oh,
And
that's
Fauci's about to retire. So,
the
ooh,
world is going to go into chaos. Hellboy is coming up.
I
The
don't know.
world is about to end. There's going to be plagues, rivers running red with blood. When Fauci retires, it's all going to pot. That's it. We're done. Is that? Can we say that? No, probably not.
Pot?
We believe in
Is
no.
that what you said?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's fine. This is our podcast. We can do what we want.
We can do
Obviously, we
what we
are.
want.
There's no rhyme or reason. I mean,
No rhyme
this
or
is
reason.
a
There is no
hot
rhyme or
mess.
reason.
But
I
here we
do
are.
have a rhyme or reason with this. What we're talking about today. First of all, um, let's see. we were going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Stellars, right? And we were laughing because um, we were talking. I just kind of put it out there, like we could talk about the Stellar Awards, and all the stuff that happened. And Jess, you responded like, I didn't watch it. She was like, okay, but I didn't watch it. And I was like, laugh emoji, laugh emoji, laugh emoji. I didn't watch it either. So, I don't know. But there's another topic that that I didn't know about and that you told me about. You're
So
gonna
you want me to start talking now? Great.
yeah.
So
Yeah, put it
there
on.
was a therapist who posted a video on TikTok basically challenging Black men to go to therapy and to build their emotional intelligence. And she got a lot of backlash, particularly on Black Twitter, from people who were basically saying that the way she delivered the message was inappropriate, was like increasing mental health stigma. And it was crass. I mean, the way she said it was really crass. The part that I think is really what ended up catching my attention was that basically people like found out where she worked and reached out to her employer, and she ended up getting fired because of this video that she posted. So we can't play the video because, at least in theory, this is a good Christian podcast and her language was crass, as I
Yeah.
said. Um, but she was basically talking about how 90% of her clients are black men. Black men basically wanted black women. And of course, we're talking about cisgender heteronormative relationships right now, which is not the totality of relationships, but just need to say that.
You just
Um,
said that you just said that phrase like brrr, it just rolled right off your tongue. How many times a day do you say that?
more than once.
Like for real.
So she was talking about, and so it stems from, there was the Psychology Today article a couple weeks ago that was basically like, men are lonely because single women have raised their standards. Right? So she was reacting. She was like, it was basically like, single men are lonely because single women have raised their standards. Again, we're talking about cisgender heteronormative relationships. So
Right. Right.
she's responding to that and is basically like, y'all are lonely because women leveled up and you didn't. You need to build your emotional intelligence. You need to go to therapy. You need to stop choking down your emotions. Um, and not only did she get a lot of critique on social media, which was to be expected, but people found out where she worked, called her job, and
Hmm.
sis is no longer employed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, um, first of all, you talk about being fired up. Go ahead and fire up that subscribe button. All right, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit a like. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Smash the thumbs up button. We appreciate all the love that you show. But so yeah, watch the video. Right.
Watch the video.
Watch
I'm
the video. I
curious.
watched the video. I watched the
Yeah.
video, and
Tell
I
me your
was
thoughts, brother.
first of all, I think so. Let me put this out there. I'm thinking that, and it's whatever what I'm about to say is clearly it's still a double standard, right? There are two things that came to mind. Number one, um, and I know people will probably make a comparison for her and what the late Kevin Samuels talked about all the
Yep.
time. So there's definitely that comparison, and that comparison can be made. The only difference is, and I don't really know that much about Kevin Samuels. I heard a couple of things he said. It was like, it's not for me. I checked out, but a lot of people, checked in for him. He said a lot of stuff apparently that was. It was crass. It was rude to people who were, live, on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Um, I think the difference though is number one, that was his YouTube channel page, whatever, and I don't know what other job he might have been holding down. I'm not sure. So yeah, there's a double standard. That's number one. I don't know, even though I don't know what else he was doing. He was able to say
What you
any and
mean? What else he
everything.
was doing? He was peddling books and sorry,
He was, but what I'm saying is I don't know if he had something else that was at stake, if you will.
you
Like
don't
it
know if
was
he had a
all
job. I'll say
right.
it.
I don't know if he had a job.
He
So
didn't.
and I say that because how sis came at it. It's language that, I mean, if you're on Twitter or, YouTube, whatever, yeah, you hear that kind of language all the time. So the other conversation I know we're going to even have about this today is, professionalism, right? So when it comes down even to professionalism, if people now are double checking your Facebook page, they're checking all your social media platforms even before they hire you, guess what? That means that they check your platforms while you're employed and they can fire you because of that stuff. Is it right? Probably not. But that's the age in which we live. So number one, I said to you, and I made it, joke about it, like, man, I wish my therapist, could wear those little shorts like that. But she's clearly like, just she's laying it out there. There was nothing wrong with what she said. There was nothing wrong with what she said. I think how she says it is the problem. Like she drops, B word after B word. I stopped counting how many times she said the B word and then ended it all with you B. I mean, and I thought it was funny in essence. But once again, she believed at those moments that she could say it. Her name was Shabri Rawls, Cleveland based. All right. I'm not saying, she could be my therapist. From what she's talking about, I'm gaining something from it. but it's how you do it. When somebody said to me one time, Jess, and you let me know if you think this applies here. All right. You can have the best steak in the world, steak, salmon, whatever you want to say. You can have the best, most juiciest steak in the world. But if you put it on an old, dirty garbage can, do I want to eat it?
So I think that's fair. And for me, this is something that we as therapists, I don't know what her profession is in terms of the type of mental health professional she is, but this is something that we as therapists have to reckon with. And I'll say I have not figured this out for myself in terms of my public presence as a therapist. But it's some stuff I can say in the room when it's one on one that I might think differently about when it's public, right? And she said 90% of her clients are Black males. I guarantee you she's a dope therapist. Her
Yeah,
clients love her, and that's
yeah,
how she talks to them in the room. I guarantee
sure,
you. And it
sure.
probably comes across really well, right? Because a part of why it caught people's attention is because we recognize the language, right? It's about being able to talk to people in ways that match their how they talk normally. I was
Hmm.
having a conversation with somebody the other day, and he was like, yeah, I couldn't really get into psychology because I didn't understand all the terms. And I was like, well, like part of our job is to speak English to people so that they know what we're talking about, right? So from my perspective, yes, she was crass, but she nailed that because nobody has any questions about what she was talking about. Like we got it.
No,
I
no,
think the
she got it.
challenge, go ahead.
No, no, I was just agreeing, saying she got it.
Yeah. So, but I think the challenge one is I I think she probably like underestimated the reach that video would be. And two, is that really a reason to get somebody fired? Like it's not.
Yeah.
What was the reason for her being terminated? Because like is cussing against your contract, like that. And here's the piece that you're probably gonna roll your eyes here, but this is real. Black women face consequences like that in ways that other people do not. You know what I
Whoa,
mean?
whoa, whoa.
Here's
Time out.
I
Time
told
out.
you were gonna roll your eyes.
No, no, no. I'm a little upset that you think I was going to roll my eyes at that. I absolutely agree with that. Why would you think I roll my eyes at that? I mean, okay,
Well,
so first of all, yeah, okay, you've known me forever, yeah, but I mean, can people grow? Oh God, can we make room for that, please? In our therapy, can we make room for growth? Isn't that what it's all about? I'm absolutely not rolling my eyes at that. You are absolutely right. And I think we've seen time and time again, about that. Even if you didn't see it, I think there was still a sense and a perception about it. So I'm not rolling my eyes at that. I'm a little upset, y'all,
I
that
stand
my sister
corrected.
would do that
Please,
to me.
please forgive me, brother, for underestimating you.
Okay, all
No,
right,
okay.
all right. I'm
Are
over it.
we ready to move on? Great.
Maybe
So
no, not really.
black
I'm hurt.
women black women get beat down and dragged, frankly, and that's what people did to her.
Mm-hmm.
Dragged. And even if, to use the Kevin Samuels analogy, which I think is a great one, number one, this woman is a professional and has degrees. Kevin Samuels set up a camera and put on a suit. So there's a difference there.
Mm, say it.
In
Say it.
terms of your qualifications to be telling people about what's a healthy way to show up in certain relationships,
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, I got feelings about that, which is a whole different podcast,
You have a
right?
lot of feelings about that.
I have a lot of feelings about people with no qualifications saying they are experts in certain areas,
So,
period. So that's one difference there. Number two is I think that Kevin Samuels said things that were just as incendiary. And it's not that people didn't push back, but it didn't cost him like it cost her, right? So you were saying he
okay,
didn't have a
right,
job. He did have
right.
subscribers and whatever. He was making money off this somehow. He won't lose no checks because he said off the wall stuff.
No, he had more checks actually, because
Thank
that's
you.
that's the area in
And in
which we live.
fact, let's say that the ways that Black men are rewarded for misbehavior, I'll say, and I'll use that term loosely, in ways that Black women would be punished. Now, this, I think the part
Mhm.
that is concerning to me about the whole thing that I actually do think kind of lost in her messaging is really what she was saying is like, it's hard to live in this world and be a black man, right? So like
Mhm.
black men are socialized to choke it all down. Black men are socialized to show up as providers instead of emotionally engaged partners, right? And so what she was really saying is, if you really want to have these like elevated relationships with black women who want to be intimately connected, who want to be able to have an emotional conversation with you, you gotta deprogram some of the ways you've been taught to show up in the world, right? And I
Correct.
think that's what she was saying. But I do think, and I won't attribute this to her language because I don't know if that's fair, but I think that message actually got lost because people took it as her bashing black men.
Uh,
I don't think that was her intention, but I understand why it came across that way.
all right. So, all right, here, here we go. Um, direct quote is so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate what you be? Long gone are the days where you can just shut down. Bees is not tolerating that. Y'all think bees just want to argue with y'all because y'all refuse to expand your emotional vocabulary. We don't. It's to provide clarity for both of us. And y'all dusty bee.
She
Just,
did.
I mean, and then she says, when you expand your emotional vocabulary, and okay, I'm not going to. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bee. I mean, and now once again, you're right. You're right. And while we understand that
She ain't
language,
wrong.
I think whether it be whether it be right or wrong, and I think we can say that, right? We can say it because it's our podcast and we don't have to agree on it.
Hmm.
But I think for me, there's always a wrestling. I think it goes back
Hmm.
to, W.E.B. Du Bois and that,
Yes.
the idea that double consciousness, right? There's always that wrestling that we have, and that's what white people don't understand. That's what really white people don't understand because no one else has to wrestle within that kind of structure, especially in America. It is either you're black, you're Asian, you're Latino, your whatever. I mean, whatever else. I mean, certainly native and indigenous. So you have to know you, but then also understand that there's a larger world that is represented. And a lot of that larger world gets represented in places and spaces where you are not seen and not heard. So number one, right? There's a wrestling that I will often have with the idea of professionalism because I do believe in professionalism, but I also understand that or maybe I'm trying to pull away from the professionalism that was instilled in us younger, that is gone by white standards that says,
Yeah.
you got to be clean cut and all those things. So wait. So let me real quick, right?
I'm like
If
literally on my hands right, trying to hold myself together. So
I know,
go.
I know you are. Because once again, these are things that we know and we fight with each and every single day. You know this. You know this well than almost probably maybe anybody who's watching or listening this. But for her, if I'm an employer and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm really kind of now with the calls, with the emails, and all this kind of stuff. I can sit back and say this now, but because it's Monday morning quarterbacking. But would I have fired her? I don't think so. But I'm definitely might have called her in the office and been like, "Sis, you can't do that." Well, first of all, I
But
probably ain't go,
why?
huh?
Why?
Why?
I have so many things to
Let
say.
me
Number
no.
one,
Let me answer your question. I'm gonna answer your question real quick. I'm gonna answer it. Why? Because number one, but look what you got on, and number two, why are you talking like that? That's why. That's why. That's why. That's why. I'm giving her another chance. I'm not
let
getting
me
her
say this.
fired.
I have
But here's
lots
the
of things to
thing.
say. I have lots of
We're
things to say. Hold on,
calling.
hold on, hold
People
on,
are
hold on, hold on,
calling.
hold on, hold on. Huh?
I'm just saying, people are calling, and yeah, we can call them hating. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use her language. We can call them some hating bees. They hating and all that kind of stuff. I get that, but if I have all those calls in a professional standard, excuse me, a professional industry, whatever, I'm at least going to have that conversation with her. I might not fire her right out, but I need to have that conversation with her.
So, one, we need to start recognizing that professionalism is a code word for white supremacy. I do not,
Come
when I,
on, come
no,
on,
listen, when I
nah.
say that, I don't mean we throw out all professionalism, right? But Black folks, we have to reckon with the ways that we participate in white supremacy with this respectability stuff, right?
All right, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so like, why? She was
Why?
not
What?
representing her organization. She pissed people off, but did she say something that was offensive?
No, she
Or,
didn't.
you
She
know what I
didn't.
mean? So I think a lot of that is, I'll give you an example of why I say professionalism is a code word for white supremacy. Today, I was on Facebook, and a professional colleague is growing out her locks, and she's like, my locks are at the point where I can wear them out, but I'm scared to wear them out at work. In the year of our Lord, 2022, they done passed the Crown Act. Is that a national
Lo-
law? Or is that just in Virginia? It doesn't matter.
Locks,
Laws.
locks are a little different than at the end of the video calling people bees and then slapping your butt. It's a little
I
bit different.
mean, again, would I have done it? Absolutely not, right? But
I,
I think we underestimate, if she's a mental health professional, that means she's gone to graduate school, and so she's interacted plenty with white supremacy, right?
sure.
And I think a part of, like, people are making it seem like, oh, she was just being careless and yada yada. When really, my guess is that she made a calculated decision that, like, this is my population, this is how I'm gonna connect. Now, I don't know how she reflects on that experience at this point, but I do think that this whole idea that it would be something that she would get fired for, and her perception of it, at least, I don't know how true this is, but her perception of it is that Black folks are the ones that kind of took her down, you know? And for
Oh yeah,
me,
yeah,
that adds another element of, like, if you were really that concerned about her, like, for me, if as a professional, I'm gonna be like, "Ooh, sis, that's not a good look." I'm gonna call you in. I'm gonna have a conversation with you, not go run to your so they can fire. You know what I mean? So I think there's
yes,
also like the the way Black women are handled when people perceive that they do something wrong, I think is just another one of the ways that the way people hate Black women in particular gets executed. And this
mm,
another thing that comes up, and I think that was sort of bubbling underneath the surface in this conversation too, is the way Black men and Black women get pitted against each other in those conversations,
mm,
which to me just feels so absurd. Like, it's too, I mean,
mm,
I
mm,
get, right, because even during the civil rights era, right? Black women, the whole reason terms like intersectionality exist, right? Is
mhm,
because Black women could not find spaces in the feminist movement because
mhm,
the primary feminists were racists.
mhm,
Black women could also not find a home base in the civil rights movement because the preference was on the experience of the Black man, right?
mhm.
And so I think one of the for me, one of the biggest costs of white supremacy that we don't even recognize is that racism has forced us to pit ourselves against each other. And it's like, we're on the same team, regardless of whether I'm going to partner with you or not in terms of a romantic partnership. We could be on the same team. We're not. So when people see a Black woman trying to call in Black men, rather than hearing that as an invitation, it feels like an attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we're on the same page, and for the most part saying the same thing. I mean, I agree with everything you're talking about. Um, and here's the thing, though, Jess. I try as I might, um, with so much out here today, and everybody knows what everybody else is at least thinking on some stretch with social media and everything. You have opinions, out the yin yang. I don't know how to, you know, try to get on the same get on the same page because people are coming from a plethora of experiences, plethora of backgrounds, and all that stuff. So it's like when you see something like this happen, right? Once again, I agree with everything she said, and honestly, I
Right.
don't care. I really don't care about how she was dressed because you made the point. She's talking to a specific population of people, and one of which who she has talked to before,
Mhm.
and so this has just happened. So the issue of the people that really got her fired are absolutely quote unquote her people. But of course, you've heard the adage, just like I know I have, and many of our listeners have. Um, just because you're my color doesn't mean you're my kind. Everybody that has the same
All skin
skin,
folk ain't kinfolk.
it ain't kinfolk. So the idea that yes, these are people that took it absolutely. So it's like, and one of the comments was, it's some of the big crab in the barrel mess, that we've ever seen. What was she saying wrong? But here you go. I'm literally lobbing this to you. I'm lobbing this to you. Like this is a surefire alley oop, right? Um, because when it comes down to it, emotional intelligence, all these things, everything she was saying was right. And what she said got proven by what happened.
Boom. There you go. That's exactly it. Because y'all can't tolerate discomfort enough to, if you really disagree with it, how about you just scroll on to the next thing on your Twitter feed? You know what I
Can't do it.
mean?
But it's not
Like,
set up.
I
The
just
world's
think
not
it's
set up for that.
ridiculous.
I know. It's not set up for that, right? So we have all this that you're supposed to, like, you feel like you have to just but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I got a question for you, Doc Brown. All right. And you got it. You got it, because we really about out of time. You got it. Um, if I am someone checking out what she's talking about, and I am somebody that's challenged by what she's talking about, and I realize, you know what? She has something valid to say. All right. How do you make it from being immature to being emotionally mature or available? Maybe that's a better word.
I mean, the lowest hanging fruit there is go to therapy, right? Which is what she was saying. But I think even
And then some more.
even if that like too much, right? It's like maybe there's a book you can read. There's lots of books. We can put some, we can put some in the notes for the show, but like it could start with reading a book, or it could start with, I mean, sometimes it's even just watching a show where it's gonna pull for some emotional content so you can get in touch with that stuff. Like I think it, and for men in particular, this sounds like a little thing, but it's actually a big deal. Men, because of the way men are socialized, you probably have to seek out people who are willing to be in their emotions. Because in your default friend group, if everybody has been socialized, you take it on the chin, you keep going no matter what. If you do start doing that and actually feeling your feelings, then you get pushback.
Mhm.
Insert all the language that men get called if they act like they have feelings sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
That's a lot.
And so I think it's being strategic. I have a friend who we have like a completely platonic relationship, but I'm the person he calls if he needs to emote, frankly, because all of his friends are like,
Hmm.
I was going to use a derogatory term, not connected with their emotional experience. So he at least know, he's like, hey, I need to like feel a feeling. It's literally right.
Who you talking
And
about
so
though? Who this? Who you talking about? Who this is? Who you talking
And
about?
so
I
I
don't know
need
him.
to, I think
Hello?
men in particular have
You just not
to,
not gonna listen to
I'm
this?
just going to
Okay.
ignore you because we're literally recording right now and it's so messy. So I think men in particular like have to be conscious of, do I even have people in my space that I could begin to experiment with on like if I'm sad or if
Wow.
I'm anxious,
That
you
term
know?
that term alone, though, you might want to use another term, but I get it. I know what you're talking about because once it's what is that? It's not not maybe it is toxic,
Toxic
masculinity.
masculinity,
I
internalized
guess that's what it is.
homophobia.
Right.
The terms can go on, right?
Yeah. I mean, but so like it,
Here's what I
it
let me tell you something else. This is what I think about as a parent. My son is very in touch with his emotional experience, right? And he also has a father who's very in touch with his emotional experience,
is
right? But for
very
me, that's a blessing because we can help him navigate that space now. And then when he's ready to partner, they're not going to be partnered with a brick wall. They're
mm,
going to be partnered with somebody who knows his own emotional experience and can connect with theirs and can attend to them.
mm,
And especially when you're thinking about romantic relationships, which she was talking about, like, all this rhetoric, well, grandma and granddaddy were together for however many years. Okay, but your granddaddy had 3 other families and they didn't speak, right?
right. And they all showed up at
What
the
are we
funeral.
glorifying? What are we glorifying? And so what's happened, and this is a part of what the article was talking about, like, people don't just stay for the sake of staying anymore.
Mm,
And so the question is, I'm not one of those women that feels like I need a man to take care of me or even be like the sole provider because I got a job and I intend to keep working. But what I can't be partnered with is like somebody who's a brick wall, somebody who
mm,
can't talk about what he's going through, and somebody can't see when I'm going. You know what I mean? Like, I think
yeah.
that's a part of what she's hitting on. And it is the responsibility of all of us to really kind of rise to the occasion in that regard. It's not just going to happen if you wait long enough. Because if you are a grown tail person and you have no emotional intelligence, you got to manually build those skills because the time when it would have been easy to do it was in your childhood and you
Hmm.
are no longer a child.
Yeah. Um,
And
yeah.
let me say this, it ain't easy to do it in your childhood. It's just you tend to have more adults
Right.
around.
Right. It will, and if you have, and like you said, if you have those parents or those your support system that's there, helping you with that, then yeah, it's certainly a lot easier than if you're an adult trying to break down, those walls
Yeah.
that we do put up. So yeah, my nephew, he is absolutely, emotionally, and your nephew, the youngest one, he is too. I'm worried about my oldest one though. But trying to navigate that is something that I take to heart. And what she's once again, what Dr. Rawls was saying is very true, and it's something that if we're not careful, we are going to continue to make another generation of emotionally unavailable people. And my fear is just that the social media aspect of it makes it that much more worse. Uh, Even though people are talking, these walls aren't necessarily being broken down. And as you
And
said,
social media is not in-depth emotional connection.
it's not. But the problem is that everybody's on there. So
Mhm.
you have this thing that's not real. And if this is what you subscribe to on a daily basis, and you're even carrying that within your own particular friendships, then how do you advance in
Mhm.
emotional availability and emotional intelligence? You don't. And if we don't do what you were talking about earlier, and that is, staying with those who we're supposed to stand with, and not necessarily, beat them down. I think the black woman is, what's the word I'm looking for, is and it's amazing to me how she is beat down and then put on a pedestal, only to be grabbed off of it and beat down again, be put back on the pedestal. Right? We want to say we uplift our black women and and all that kind of stuff, but then once again, we're tearing them down every chance we get. It's almost like we tear them down faster than any other culture, and it's just
Well, I think Black women are uplifted for taking care of other people, particularly
yes,
men they're partnered with,
pedestal. Hmm.
and not pretending like they don't have feelings, right? Like, how many professional athletes have you heard talk about their mom and they're like,
Mhm.
my mom gave up everything for us. My kids will not have that testimony. I'm not giving up everything for my kid. I love them, but they won't call me selfless because I'm not, and I don't want to be. My mama
That's a
took care of me.
that's a whole different perspective, though. That's a whole different perspective. Like, people don't know how much of a jerk you are. So I think they're
But
learning that through the
that's
podcast.
I mean, I am a jerk, but that's also, I don't think, evidence of me being a jerk. I'm a jerk for other reasons. But for me,
Sure.
it's like I want my children to say about me, we had fun together. She loved us and she was happy. You know what I mean?
But you
And
can do that because, how do I say this? You can do that because I don't know, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
uh-oh.
You can I don't think I will, but you can do that because you are in a social economic
Yes,
status that
absolutely.
allows you to.
Absolutely. I have all kinds of privilege.
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
kinds of privilege that help me to be able to navigate that space, right?
Hmm.
And you're absolutely right about that. And I think that for some Black women, that isn't even presented as an option.
It's not. It's not. No.
And I
It's
also
not.
don't, I mean, I think you're right, but I also don't think that poverty precludes us from living our lives in ways where we can find joy. It takes a lot more work and a lot more emotional resources. So I'm not like downplaying that
Mhm.
all. But I do think a part of it is that we don't even have the expectation. Like, it's like revolutionary for Black women to be like, no, I'm not doing that. you
Just to
know?
say no, right? Just to say
Just
no.
no. Like,
No.
think about all the uproar, and we're so over time, but think about all the uproar around Simone Biles a couple years ago, right?
Right.
It was like,
Right. Oh,
how dare she say no? Like, sis
no.
is tired and she got
That made me
57
mad.
million gold medals. Let
That
her
made me
sit
mad.
down.
Like, that really, really made me mad. I was really mad about that. And it didn't matter from a team perspective. Like, people are like, oh, she's letting down the team. And I'm like, shut up. What are you
She wasn't
talking
letting
about?
down the team, though. People won gold medals and she
Right.
had competed.
That's the idea of a team, that is not just one person. I mean, so, like, and for me personally, well, not personally, but when I looked at that, right, and that she stepped aside for her own mental health, I think part of the dope thing about that was not just her dealing with herself, but also there were others on the team that were good, that were really good, and they were able to shine
Yep, they got
because
some time.
because the media and the press and people are so myopic, they're sitting there just looking at her,
Woo,
forgetting about there's
myopic. You
another
are
rest of the
so
team.
smart.
So, I mean, but you're absolutely right. It's Black women aren't allowed to say no. I think some of it too, though, Jess, is that so we often, will romanticize, our
Hmm.
childhoods and in the ways we grew up. So if you got somebody that is in poverty, so I think a lot of times most kids up until a certain age, you don't know you're in poverty.
Right.
You don't understand that, right? So somebody that's in a not a great area living in and all that kind of stuff. But moms is there, like you said, moms is there, moms is cooking, moms is doing this, moms is working, da da da, da. And yeah, I did say moms, that's right. But she's doing all that, and you make it to a certain level, and it's like, even though yes, you had fun at Christmas, and yes, mama did this and that, all you see was that she was there, and your perception of it is that she is selfless. And I can almost guarantee you, even though you're having fun with your kids, da da da, they will still grow up and say and put a lot on you, and still pedestalize you because you were there and you did make sacrifices. So even though you say you're not selfless, I think that they're going to look at it in another way. I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm with you, but I still think that also they're going to see you in another light too, because of what you have done for them.
And I mean, I think we've kind of strayed away here, but I think part of my challenge is
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
like, I don't want to be on a pedestal because I don't want to make adulthood look easy. Like, I don't want to sell them that check that I
Hmm.
know adulthood can't cash.
Is that what is? You really think that that's what it's doing?
Let me frame it this way. I am thinking about, particularly as my son gets older and he asks me questions and I try to be honest with him. What I mean by is I'm thinking about what it means to be transparent about the struggles that I have as an adult. I don't I don't want to burden my children unnecessarily, but I don't want mom to be like this mystical figure that does all this work behind the scenes and poof, magic. Mom makes things happen. No, like I'm not interested in that. And so I think I have, as you can see, this is like an active tension for me as a
I
parent.
see. I see. But I don't
Because
think you can help it though. So
I
I don't
can't.
think you
It
can help
is.
it. You
It
can't.
is. But I think I say that to say I don't I don't want I want my children to love me and honor me, but I don't want to be put on a pedestal because I actually don't think that's appropriate.
Oh, maybe
Here's how
yeah.
this is connected, and this is what I'm thinking about. Like, I think I'm very sensitive to this idea that Black women are the workhorse of whatever community or relationship they're a part of, whether that's a romantic relationship, a job, a church. Like I think Black women end up in that role, and so I am like really vigilant, I would say, about like pushing back against that because I think I see every day in my clinical practice and frankly in my consultations with churches how it costs us to keep that frame.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my kid a father who is actually like an active parent, so it won't, I
Yeah.
think in some ways it's easier to sort of idolize, yeah, mom, if mom is the only parent,
Right. Yeah.
idolize, right? If
Idolize.
mom is the only
Yeah.
parent in the home.
Sure.
But for my kids, they have an active father, so that it's like, no, this we all in this together, and I think
I
we can
mean,
work against that
I
because I
I
don't
just
think I don't think it's healthy for Black women, and I also think it sets up fairy tales where there are none.
mm, I'm not I'm not wholly disagreeing with you. And while we have strayed somewhat, once again, this is our show, so we can do that.
Sure.
I'll say this, and then as I tried to kick it to you to end it like 10 minutes ago, I'll say
Oops.
this, and then you can end however you want to end. Um, maybe pedestal, is the wrong word. I'm under no delusions about any of my mother's imperfections or anything of that nature, but yet even at 43, when I think
Ooh,
about
you
my
old.
child,
Sorry.
you're going to come this way too, hopefully. Thanks.
But you'll still be
um,
older than me.
I got a good report from the doctor today though. What
Ow.
But thinking about that is why do we always raise the roof? Well,
Because
um,
you're
because I'm
in
old. uh,
youth committee 1993.
what it's like, I know, that she made sacrifices, and I get it, right? We have a great support system. We've had a great support system, our families. Um, I know she made sacrifices, and there is that level of respect and honor, that I
Mm-hmm.
will always give to her, always attribute that, to her, because I know what she did. Once again, it's not taken away from, from who she is. I don't believe I'm living in a fairy tale. So what I'm saying is, I think that yes, those things do exist, and we got to watch out for those. And yet, part of it is, I don't, even for, I think, black boys who turn into black men, um, there's still just something. It is always, I think, going to be something magical about mom, because
Mm.
Pac said it, and Mama made miracles every Thanksgiving. They didn't. You don't have much, and even if you have some, and it's like what mom does with that is freaking amazing. Like, coming downstairs in the basement and having a little inside picnic, or the things that, you remember as a kid and all that. And it's just like, she did that. And I think as you get older and then you have children, it's like, okay, you understand, these things. You understand why parents do what they do, but there's something special about mama. All right, I'm done because yes, we strayed far, we strayed far away. I'm done. You go ahead and Dr. Brown, it's all you.
Family, let's just say if you want your mama to work all that magic, don't you want her to have a partner who's emotionally intelligent and isn't choking down
She
his,
brought
her,
it
or
back
their feelings?
around. She
Boom.
brought it back
If this
around.
mic wasn't so expensive, I would drop it. Okay, so here's what we need you to do, people. We need you to email us your topic suggestions, or we have a listener letter segment called Testimony Time. You have a question you want us to respond to? You have something really messy that happened in your church and you want our advice on how to handle it? Email us, fammatterspod@gmail.com. We're here for you with the
We're
faith
here for you.
and the mess.
All of it. We're here for you. We're here for you. Well, I think that said that just about blah, 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 just about says it and does it. This is our third episode. While I think that the content is wonderful and great, we are still novices at this.
We're a hot
We're
mess.
getting
And
microphones
listen, you
and
signed
all
up
that.
for this at this point, so we're not even going to apologize for it because you
Nope.
knew when you clicked on it was going to be a bootleg experience. And here we are.
But we'll get better. Maybe.
One can only hope.
I can only hope. We're going to be professional.
Down with white supremacy.
That's what white supremacy. And we mean that. Seriously. No, seriously. No, honestly, we
Seriously,
mean that.
down with white supremacy. But we've clearly done all we can do for this here episode.
Dr.
You close
Brown.
us out. You're the professional. Dr. Young.
Hey, thank you so much for joining Fam Matters, Faith and Mess with Dr. Brown and Dr. Young. Once again, qualified individuals with unqualified opinions, and you've all been listening to it right here, all right, on our own channel, and certainly on the podcast. And pick us up wherever you get podcasts. Look us up, Fam Matters, F.A.M. Matters. All right, until the next time, for Dr. Brown, this is Dr. Young saying peace.